when you kiss your dog on the lips.
What about it?
It's gross.
Well, you don't have a dog. You don't understand the relationship.
No, you don't kiss the dog with your lips on their lips because their lips lick other dogs' butts, not to mention their own. And sometimes...
I'm a child of the 80s. I've eaten stuff off the ground. Listen.
Eating stuff off the ground is different from literally kissing your dog on the lips.
Any dog owner would understand. Well,
I don't believe
you know what? You were a dog person, and now you're a traitor. So it's really not my fault.
Any dog owner.
They all do it.
I'm not a traitor.
I don't know
My wife is like not an animal person. She doesn't want animals. And you know what we have now?
Hamster
guinea
pigs. Which, by the way,
the worst.
Crap.
I know. They're the worst. They're the worst.
I've never seen so much feces that's really nicely packed in my life.
It's
Do
gross.
you think guinea pigs get diarrhea?
I hope not.
They look like, because their poops look like dog treats.
You know that kinship you feel when someone gets the obscure movie quote you tossed out in a conversation?
Point a knife at your father?
Don't point your knife at me!
Welcome to Such a Good One! A podcast where two siblings bond over their unabashed love for the movies they grew up on. I'm Josh Cook.
And I'm Jessi Cook.
Come digress with us.
Did I tell you about the guy I saw walking in the park? I'm not going to make this a long story. I promise. Okay. Mom's always mad at me. Not anymore. I'm better. Was always mad at me because she said I'm very rude to her in front of her friends. Now, what I couldn't say to her...
Just scream at them and I mean, I've seen it.
I try to be... Okay, so our family is very passive-aggressive. I can't help it. I have issues. I'm very I'm obnoxious and disliked. No, I'm very blunt and aggressive.
I'm
obnoxious and disliked. You know where that's from, right? Are you joking? Did you grow up in our... You know it. I'm obnoxious and disliked. That cannot be denied. No? Okay. Well, anyway. I hate you. Can we talk about Maroney's? And stop! Can we talk about Maroney's though? That was funny the other night with Dad. Anyway, the point is, you made me.
Batteresis!
Oh,
this was not a long story.
She said that.
There's a man in the park, but then you were yelling at,
yeah, you're right.
at her friends.
No, she always says I'm really mean to her.
And then there was spaghetti.
And
Maroney's.
I didn't really appreciate that because I was like, well, you said something really stupid, so I got mad at you. So anyway, I was at the park. I've seen this guy at the park a lot, and he's he's like obnoxiously nice. He's got these like big veneers, and he's like, "Hi, how you doing?"
Veneers,
like he just makes a big display of just
like he's
over,
being kind. What a jerk!
No,
guy.
I know. There's a
so
guy, a
gross to be
friend I
nice
have.
to people.
He's a park friend I have, and he was like, "Oh, that guy's so nice," and I was like, "No, he's not." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You're a man."
Just look at his veneers.
I said, "You're a man. You don't understand." He was like,
Batteresis!
"Come on." I'm like, "I'm telling you, there's something wrong with him. He has rage inside." And he was like, "He doesn't." And he's like, "He's so nice." I'm like, No. He's too nice." And I said, "I've been waiting to see the other side come out." And then the other day we were hiking. I was hiking. Anyway, I was walking down a hill, and this really attractive, like lovely older woman, mom's age, came up the hill, and she was like, "Oh, hi." And the dog came kind of running at me. He was really sweet. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Down. She hit this button, and it gives them like the dog an alert, a buzz, or a beep, or whatever.
Let's call it a shock.
Whatever.
She shocked her dog.
But
she electrically shocked her dog. I hear
this voice from below screaming at this dog, and there he is coming up the hill, and he goes, "Mom, did you even hit that button?" And she was like, "Yeah, I hit it." And he goes, "God!" And I was like, "Dude, she hit it." And I was like, "Is that what she's talking about?" But my point was made. He was real mean to her. And I could tell she was kind of scared of him.
This was a crazy ride. This story was a crazy ride. This was ostensibly about a guy in the park, but really also about you yelling at Mom in front of her friends. And then Maroney's, so spaghetti was involved.
No, I was talking about how we had you know what? We'll get into that when we talk about the movie because it's related.
Okay.
Are you joking? What is wrong with your brain that you don't? You should pick up on the cue. Let's talk about Maroni's. What happened with Maroni's spaghetti night that was hysterical? We couldn't stop
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I'm just saying that in your
Okay,
story
by the way,
of
shut up,
things,
Josh.
you were
So-
talking
shut
about
up.
spaghetti.
So if you've ever grown up, and you have, because if you're alive, you're listening. There are like restaurants, there are restaurants you always eat at. Now we grew up in an affluent neighborhood, and all my life I was like, but we're not rich. And then I got some perspective, and I was like, well, we weren't rich, but we obviously never really wanted for anything. But the point was,
We were upper middle class.
we're upper middle class, but we weren't fancy pants.
No.
I mean, Mom was like, oh, you want me to buy you that cereal? Do you have $7? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
She wouldn't buy a lot of things because she was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And whereas, other families in the very rich neighborhood were like, I will buy you a case and I'll have it delivered by our nanny.
I remember one kid at Harriton High School. He got his 16th birthday. He got a car, and it was like a Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
And then he crashed it,
Awesome.
like in the parking lot 3 days later. And then 2 days after that, he had another new Mercedes.
Now, and I can't even make fun because did I not have a Jetta in the driveway with a big red bow? Yes, I did.
You did?
I sure did.
I didn't get one of those things.
You know why?
Why?
I don't really know.
Oh.
I don't know. But anyway,
You
it was
had
a very
bow
reasonable.
around like a commercial?
Yeah, you put
People
a
do
bow on
that?
it. Yeah. It was
didn't know
really,
that.
it was amazing. It was amazing. And now it was a very reasonable price because it was the, the model, the rental thing that they give people when they show up to the dealership and they've had an accident. Love that car. Great
Okay.
car. And it smelled like crayons. Every person that came in my car was like, it smells like crayons. And I was like, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where we were going with that.
We weren't. Sometimes I just let you go, and we don't know it's like life. You don't know
No,
what's going to happen.
there
You're
was
just
a
kind of
point.
going down the path and
Restaurants. Snacks we
Maroni's.
weren't allowed to have because
This started with restaurants.
one of my favorite cereals from Nancy
Now we're on cereal.
from the Etheringtons.
Okay.
Do you remember the Etheringtons house? First of all, dream house. I love that house. Anyway,
I have whiplash from this conversation. I don't really know what happened. I feel like you came in here, you started talking, you went through a trip down memory lane, and you fell into some gopher holes. You electrically shocked a dog. There was something about spaghetti, and then you were mad because I didn't understand it, but I did understand it.
all right, tell
but
the
you
story
didn't
about
understand
Maroni.
it. There is no story to tell.
Yes, it is. There. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You're
'Cause
right.
Dad
Let
said
me
he-
wrap
he
this
might-
up.
he
No. The
Wrap
only
what
reason
up?
I brung,
What strand?
Josh. The only reason I brung all this up, brought all this up was Maroni spaghetti for us was like a big. That was our takeout. Like we didn't get takeout all the time, but Maroni's is probably our favorite.
It's a
family.
restaurant in is it Ardmore or
Yeah, but
Bryn Mawr?
did
Where
you
is
know
that place?
this?
It's
Everyone loves Maroni's for their
pizza. I know this because of one of my professors, Joe Olivieri at
Yes.
UCLA, who was friends with Tim's dad back here, and he was always like, Maroni's pizza. And I don't know, by the way, I don't know if we've always said it wrong. I don't know if it's Maroni's or Marone's.
I was actually going to
honestly
ask
don't
them,
know.
but let me ask you
But
this.
our parents always said Maroni's, so we call it Maroni's, but I think it's a Marone's.
Do you know what I wanted to ask them? How did we end up ordering spaghetti and meatballs
Yeah, I don't know.
from a take? Like, did someone tell them or they had it? But their spaghetti and meatballs is unlike anything else. I don't even. I know you're gonna make fun of me. Their noodles are like clay. Like they don't taste or feel like any other noodle.
Why would I make fun? No, they do.
It's
I
weird.
don't know how they make them. They're
I don't
weird.
either. It's very weird, but
I'm not even saying like I think
perfect-
I'm not sure if people had it now they'd be like this is good. It's just like because it was
no.
when you were a
if
kid.
you got that in a nice restaurant, you'd be like, "What's going on?" But it's just you get it, and it is the most satisfying.
Yeah, it's like a big bowl
They
of
give you the
nostalgia.
roll, and you put a hole in it and put the spaghetti. Okay, I can see that you're done with this conversation.
No, I don't do that. What you're talking about with the roll?
That's because you're weird.
You make a spaghetti sandwich.
Okay,
That's what you're
anybody
saying?
who likes spaghetti, you get the roll, you dig out the fluffy in the roll, and you
See anybody likes, but like everyone in the world's like, oh, well, clearly
I
you get a
saw-
roll, you
I
dig
saw-
out the roll,
no,
and you put the spaghetti in there.
I saw some TikToks about it. It's a thing. You stuff the noodles and the meatball in there, and you eat it like a sandwich.
Yeah,
very
it's a
good.
spaghetti and meatball sandwich.
It's very good. The point is,
I just don't do it.
Maroney's is our family's takeout. And the other night, we watched the movie that we're going to discuss tonight.
Yeah,
and
we
got
decided to do
Maroney.
it. We watched the Electric Horseman. Dong, dong. Dong, dong.
Disco magic. Oh, disco magic.
That's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing disco magic. I'm doing the chase scene. Anyway, the Electric Horseman was a favorite of ours growing up and our dad's. Continuing, it's the second. I was a little concerned about doing this so early because it's the second Redford Fonda movie that we've done already.
Challenge, pause it. Is it not? Pause it. Is it not probably the right choice though? Because if this, we cannot define this podcast because it's either about movies, our weird sibling personalities, whatever. But the point is, we grew up on Robert Redford. He's basically a multivitamin for our entire family. So it actually makes sense.
So Robert Redford, it was definitely our dad's favorite. But you know what? I have this whole thing, and I feel like I'm just going to end up repeating myself a billion times.
Which you always do, and I always do too.
I'm sure I'm going to do. But you know what, though? I love Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. That podcast is so great. And he just...
Wait, hold on.
No,
Conan, if you're listening...
You
are
think he's listening.
one of my favorite humans on earth.
You know, I met him once, right?
Jeez, Josh,
we were
put that in the file.
Did you know that?
Ways you've ruined my life.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
You did know that because we were doing press for Four Kings.
Good talk.
We were doing press for Four Kings, and Seth Green was, famous, and so he was invited on Conan O'Brien to do press, and we were all in New York doing press for that. So it was me and Todd Grinnell and Shane McRae and Seth Green, and Seth was like, "Come!" Seth was like the nicest guy.
That's another person I never met.
He found out we were working when I got the role in that show. He like talked to me, and then he came to like this. I was doing a play in the Valley, and he came to this 30-seat theater. I met him. I feel like it was like before. Like I think we just done the pilot. I don't think we even gotten picked up yet, and he came, and it was so like nice and
That's
weird
really
and
nice.
so kind of him.
I also
He's
didn't
such a
meet him.
lovely guy. And so anyway, he invited us. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do Conan. Come along."
I'm gonna go do Conan. Come along.
Yeah, and so we all went, and we went up there, and we kind of waited in what do you call it, the green room, essentially. But what's cool, what was interesting was when Conan came in to say hi, and they do like the pre-show. They do the pre-show thing where it's like. He's like, "Hey, how are you, Seth? Okay, so what do you want to talk about?" And then like, I don't remember any of the details here, but this is for anybody. Like, like they come in, they go, "Hey, so and so, what do you want to talk about?" "Okay, well, I'm doing this new project." "Okay, cool. Do you have any funny stories recently?" "Oh yeah, I wanted to tell. I have a bit about blah blah, about a bunny in a field." And like, "Okay, cool. So I'll get you up to a bunny in a field or whatever." And that's how like when you get out on stage and you see them, like you talk about the movie, and then someone's like, "Now, is it crazy? I've been hearing is there some story about a field and maybe a rabbit or something?" And they're like, "Oh right. You've been hearing about," and that's how they always like a good host will find a better way to do it. But transition, they'll lead them up to whatever bit they have ready because telling funny stories in a succinct manner that a large audience will get and like you for is extremely difficult. And there's coaching involved. There are PR people involved, like in getting like. Tell this story. This is kind of funny. Stay away from politics. Don't do this. Blah, 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 blah. And so anyway, we were there for that kind of show meeting. And so I just met him very briefly there. I've always heard he has like a huge guitar collection. And
really?
Yeah.
He plays guitar?
Oh, he's a really great guitarist from what I remember.
He's like
what I've heard.
18 feet tall. Yeah.
And anyway, he was super nice. He was obviously really busy, but it was very cool seeing. And that was the first time I was like, oh, this is how the late night circuit works. I get it. Like you come in, you do this spiel. It's like, okay, it's like you're doing a quick rehearsal of how it's going to go out there.
The fact that you have to be on your toes that much is like just amazing to me. And he's so funny and he's
amazing.
He just seems really like a genuinely nice person. I can't imagine meeting him and being like, he seems really nice. And I did also see a few clips. Were you done your story? Did I just interrupt you? Cool. I saw a bunch of clips that were like, even though he would, when a beautiful woman was on, he'd be like, they were like, but he was so respectful. He never.
Nice.
It was funny, and he meant that they were beautiful, but he wasn't.
Well, his humor is like really solidly based in self-deprecation. You know,
it was funny. Like there was an innocence to it, and I don't know. I just adore people that are. They just seem like great. Like Robert Redford, if I met him, he's great. He wouldn't like me. I feel like Conan likes everybody unless they're really mean.
Anyway, I like
Also, I
Conan's
think
show. And the whole point of this was that
he's
he
wonderful.
repeats the same stories over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Oh, yeah.
They're so good.
I'm not saying it's... I'm just saying...
Well, we're not as funny as Conan, though. That's
here's how this was put... No, well, clearly not. But here's my point. I was saying... I probably said this before, but I'm going to say it again. And I had a quick thought that was like, oh, Conan, he repeats stories a billion times and it's fine. But the thing is now, I don't know what I was even talking about!
Did you know that ADHD is genetic, and you probably have it too? And
No,
wait.
I have it because you're here.
Wait.
And
Wait. It probably comes from one side. Which do you think it's mom or do you think it's dad?
I don't know. I do know. I do remember them saying at the dining room table when we were growing up, RTA. Well, there's an RTA. Random thought attack.
Oh my God.
For you.
I forgot all about that.
And really, it's just, they would just make fun of you because you would just randomly be like, well, I don't know, we'd be talking about, oh, this dinner's really good. And you'd be like, did you know that the color of a clover is green or something? Something insane. And then we'd all look at you and Dad would be like, well, there's an RTA for you.
Random thought. Did you know? Apparently, that's not an unusual thing. Like, I think they made that up, but I've heard things like that. But
no, it's not unusual. I think it's ADHD.
No, I don't mean that, but I mean people have been like, that's a random blah blah blah. So
random thought attack.
Oh man, I forgot to. The squirrel stopped.
The squirrel stopped. What the hell are you talking about? Is it a squirrel in your brain? Is that what you're saying?
There's like a running thing. It's I call it the carousel.
I had all sorts of great things to say, and you're ruining it. You're ruining it. What's that from? You're ruining it. Oh, that's a good one. We'll get back to that. That's one of mine today. I've just decided. Anyway, so we're talking about The Electric Horseman, which we watched a lot growing up and loved it. So we decided because it was such a please don't do that on the couch because it sounds like a fart.
I was just going to say.
I don't like it.
So when I move my feet. So, okay. Josh makes fun of me all the time. I did have back surgery because what I did inherit from Dad was like a bit of scoliosis and a real messed up spine. So when you're like, oh, stop moving, I feel like my leg, if someone said, would you like us to take your leg off? I'd be like, you know what? Pop that bad boy off.
Would you like me to punch you in the face? Maybe punch you in the face, and punch you in the face, maybe you won't feel so bad in your back.
That's really cute. That's cute coming from someone who's like,
oh.
Let's save that for later. All right.
Anyway, I'm trying.
Josh is boring me, and he's boring you.
I tried to talk about
the electric horseman.
Electric freaking horseman.
Okay. Let me start. Can I start? Okay, so if you haven't, nobody's seen the Electric Horseman. Even people that say they love.
Do you think not?
Okay, so if, a friend of mine who was like a movie fan, like everything, he's much older. Like he's. Okay, so if you don't already, would you shut up?
I'm just no. It's like I'm underscoring what you're saying.
Even I said. You lost me.
Go on.
Anyway, even I don't put it this way. I don't know a single person in my life who's seen the Electric Horseman.
That's stupid.
Do you?
Actually, I don't know either.
Right.
But The Electric Horseman came out in 1979. The year I was born, because I'm super old. And it was Robert Redford, Jane Fonda, and Willie Nelson's film debut. Did you know that?
Do you eat ranch breakfast?
Did you know Ranch
Really?
Breakfast? This was Willie Nelson's first film.
Wow.
And he's great in it, by
He's
the way.
really good.
He has that line I love so much where he goes, she liked your ring, she liked my watch, I
Oh, I
liked her
love-
eyes.
I love
so
that.
great.
I love that. So, stop talking. You're going to ruin it. Let's talk about the synopsis of the film.
No, let's not.
Let's talk. So The Electric Horseman,
No.
long story short, is about
Roger
a hot
Ebert. Oh, go on.
about a hot cowboy, rodeo,
Cowboy.
about a rodeo man who was singing high and loving life and was just a hot commodity.
Singing high?
Shut up.
Do you mean flying high?
I really
Riding
don't,
high?
I really don't care.
Singing high
Was
is
really
not a thing.
popular, and he was like crashing to the ground because he was an alcoholic and just a hot mess and losing popularity. Anyway, he steals a horse.
Why are we going over a synopsis? We haven't even done the reviews.
Do the review.
Because we're going to get into it when they're
Why don't you hit pause, watch the movie? and
Electric
start-
Horseman, January 1st, 1979, Roger Ebert. The Electric Horseman is the kind of movie that, is the kind of movie they used to make. It's an oddball love story about a guy and a girl and a prize racehorse, and it has a chase scene and some smooching and a happy ending. It could have starred Tracy and Hepburn or Gable and Colbert, but it doesn't need to because this time it stars Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. The movie almost willfully wants to be old-fashioned. It's got bad guys from a big corporation, big kisses seen in silhouette in the sunset, and it works Fonda and Redford for all this star quality they've got. But The Electric Horseman doesn't try to be completely guileless. It has a bunch of contemporary themes and causes to dress up its basic situation, which is, let's face it, girl meets boy and horse. And although we are never for a moment in doubt about the happy ending, there is a certain basic suspense as Redford and Fonda head for the hills and the evil corporation. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, so it sounds positive, but let me
Hold
just
on.
say, well, okay.
Say what?
What I like about it is a happy ending, but it's not a cheesy Hollywood thing. Like they don't.
No, actually, I love the ending.
They
Don't
write
talk
up-
about it.
Oh.
Don't talk about it because I want to talk about it. I love the ending of this movie. I think it's so great.
Do you think you can move so I gotta stretch my
Oh
leg
my
out?
gosh.
I'm
I
sorry.
hate you so much.
I'm in pain. Jesus, I'm in pain.
Ebert says this, and the New York Times article also talks about how this is such an old-fashioned movie, which I think is really interesting and funny because they both of the
Old fashioned or old school?
Well, they both mentioned It Happened One Night, which is the Gable film, and
Can I tell you something? I've never seen it.
it's really good. And then they both mentioned Lonely Are the Brave, which I've never seen, but it's a Kirk Douglas thing, and has to do with the notion of the last of the cowboys heading off for the hills and being tracked by helicopters is also familiar. It's
like
from
Butch Cassidy.
It's from Lonely Are the Brave.
Who are those
Yeah, the
guys?
helicopters in
Who
Butch
are-
Cassidy.
No, I'm saying.
Oh my God!
Cowboys
With Kirk Douglas
tracked.
and some
Who
of
are
the
those
shots look
guys?
hauntingly familiar. They suddenly ripped off that one. Anyway, the relationship between them is pretty basic stuff. Gruff outdoorsman, perfect lady. They respect each other. It's like
She's not a perfect lady.
It's like from the Perfect City lady, and it's like Bogart and Hepburn and African Queen.
Never
Basically,
saw
it's very complimentary. It doesn't really say much about the movie. It just talks about how it's a nice old fashioned thing, and they're great stars, and it's awesome. Here's the sum up paragraph. If Electric Horseman has a flaw, it's that the movie's so warm and cozy it can hardly be electrifying. The director, Sidney Pollack, who is brilliant, gives us solid entertainment, but he doesn't take chances, and he probably didn't intend to. I love Roger Ebert for this reason, because he points out things like he didn't take chances, but like also he didn't want to because this is an old-fashioned movie, and I love that because a lot of reviewers are like,
he took a lot of chances. What the hell?
What are you talking about? What chances are you taking?
Every movie you take a chance. That's ridiculous.
No. He's talking about in the telling of this movie. It's old fashioned. There's no big surprises. There's no big swings. There's nothing new.
How many movies do you see where a
This is
rodeo
1979.
cowboy kidnaps a million dollar horse?
I just told you.
That doesn't make any sense.
First of all, Sidney Pollack didn't write this movie.
I
That's
don't
a
care.
screenplay. He's talking about look.
I don't agree.
He's talking about thematically, like there's nothing new going on here. It's basically what he's saying. But he's also saying, but he wasn't trying to, so it's fine. Which
I don't
love
agree.
That he's already pointed. Oh my God.
Sorry,
He directed
I know you're
Fonda
in the
in They
industry.
Shoot Horses, Don't They? And then he also, I didn't realize this, that he had directed Redford in The Property is Condemned, The Way
the
We
heck
Were,
is that?
3 Days of the Condor, and
Out of Africa.
Jeremiah Johnson.
What about Out of Africa?
I don't think he did.
That's
Out of
Pollock.
Africa. He did?
Wow. Google it.
Well, it came later than this then. Anyway, it's generally a good review, but it's not like, and the Times review is much the same, where they just kind of are like, it's fun. It's fun, and they're big stars, and it's old-fashioned, which is kind of interesting. So that's neither here nor there. But yes, do you want to get into the scene by scene? But before we do, let me say this. Dave Grusin did the music for this movie.
Oh, wait. By the way, that sounds like...
Do you know who Dave... But I wonder who... Does anyone know the Macarena anymore? Like, if someone saw Austin Powers now, would they know what it was?
Yeah, the kids know it.
They know it?
know it.
They know it. Okay, good. Speaking of Seth,
you know the
speaking of Seth
Macarena?
Green, by the way.
I won't sing it because I don't know the words, but I can do the...
The only version that matters is Dr. Evil's version. But anyway, Dave Grusin did the music. You know what Dave Grusin
Speaking
also
of Seth
did?
Green. Wait, did you just say that?
I did just say
Okay.
that.
Sorry. Hi, Seth. Wait, could you send this to him? You know, when I was growing up, I had a Bible.
What?
Not that Bible. I called it a Bible of the boys. It was a photo album of the guys I liked, and Seth Green was in it.
I think we need to move on right now.
Cool.
Dave Grusin did the music for this. He also did the music for The Firm, which is a great
Dun-dun-dun. Wait,
piano soundtrack that Dad listens to nearly
but
constantly.
that's like, is that? It gives.
I think he did.
It gives sneakers vibes.
Oh dear God! Am I
By the
crazy?
way,
Did I
wait,
just say that incorrect?
Josh, we're very off track.
You know what we never talk about though in this podcast is how much music means, because it means so much to
Are
me
you
in
gonna
all
get
these movies.
weird and deep?
Do 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 do.
The music, but that, please, my.
I'm just confirming.
Get to
this
the
is Dave
movie.
Grusin.
I'm gonna lose it.
Start talking with the It is Dave Grusin.
That was him falling down the stairs in Home Alone,
Or
with the crowbar.
Sidney Pollack, we talked about, genius doing
Did
the
you
things.
look up Out of Africa?
No. Opening montage.
Okay.
It starts with a montage, and I love it. And it's
it's so good.
Isn't it Mama's Don't Let Your Mama Don't Let Your Baby? Is that what it is?
Ready?
Is that the opening song?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're
Mama-
allowed to sing it.
Even if it's bad.
You can say, I guess we'll just bleep it
Right.
out if they can.
Papa, don't let your
Anyway,
adult
Willie
children-
Nelson also does this a ton of songs. And they're all, what do the children call it? Bangers. They're all bangers and mash.
Berries and cream, berries and cream.
Boy who likes berries and cream.
I'm a little lad who loves berries and cream.
Oh, lad, that's right. Up at the lad likes berries and cream. So anyway, yeah, it's opening montage is great, and what it shows is go for it. You have awesome Willie Nelson music. You want to talk about it? It's showing Robert Redford's career as a rodeo star.
Basically, it starts out where he is a banger
Sonny Steele.
rodeo star, and it's
Did
cool.
I say radio star?
No, I did. Radio kill.
Stop. Just keep going.
All right, anyway, so it's just a cool. They're doing the credits and they're flashing through like newspapers and posters, and Sonny Steele is like the hot ticket item. And as he goes through the credits, he becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
You have to explain better. What you're saying doesn't make any sense.
Why?
People don't understand what you said. As it goes through the credits,
They're showing promotion.
You said as it goes through the credits, he becomes smaller. Is he shrinking? Is he a shrinking man?
God.
No. Listen, it's a montage.
ahead.
And it's a montage, and it begins, and it's showing footage of him in the rodeo riding bulls, and then he puts the huge belt buckles down on the. There's this little table that's like a collection of his belt buckles and awards, and a picture of him, and it's showing how successful he is. He's like the biggest rodeo star that's ever been. Big belt buckles.
Big.
He's They have flyers where it's like Sonny Steele headlining rodeos. That's what we're talking about. And it goes on. Then you see he gets endorsements, and he sees huge endorsements, and he's out there, and he's just a huge star. And then as the credits continue, he becomes
the he becomes a spokesperson for Ranch Breakfast.
Ranch Breakfast,
and
which is
all of a
owned by
sudden
Amco.
right. And all of a sudden, it's not Sonny Steele, it's Ranch Breakfast Cowboys.
The Ranch Breakfast Cowboy.
Sonny Steele. And his, what do you call it? His credits just keep getting...
Well, yeah. Then you see, then he has
They
a
diminish.
fracture.
He
Then there's an X-ray, and you see a fracture, and then you see he's putting another belt buckle down, but he's got a cast on. And then as it continues on, the Flyers, where he used to be headlining in huge letters, now he's at the very, very bottom in tiny letters, and it's and Ranch Breakfast Cowboy, Sonny Steele. And so within I don't know, under 5 minutes,
He loses popularity.
it's probably 2 to 3 minutes, you see a few years of this guy's life, and he goes from the biggest rodeo star in the world to basically a drunk,
He becomes nobody.
a fall down drunk nobody, who's now his outfit now is this insanely gaudy purple rodeo flashy cowboy outfit that's lined with lights that
I love the
plug
lights,
into the
and
saddle,
I love
and they
watching
light
him
up.
get on it and him break the, what do you call it? You break the circuit so it lights up. He gets on the horse and he's on his back.
Yeah.
And the best that part of that opening scene is where he can't make it to that high school pep rally.
So that's right. So the montage ends, and you see him pitching Ranch Breakfast in the montage in malls, and then you see him at the openings of grocery stores, doing appearances. So he goes from this huge star to that, and then the montage ends, and he's supposed to show up. It's like a high school band. It's like a high school football game. And at the halftime show at this high school thing, he's supposed to be there riding around, and he rides at night, and his suit lights up, and the horse lights up. So Willie Nelson and Timothy Scott, and he plays Leroy. So he plays Leroy, and Willie Nelson, they're his
Leroy
buddies / sort of managers, I guess. And they're at this high school thing, and Redford and Sonny Steele is just totally wasted, and they're trying to get him dressed in this ridiculous outfit. And an Amco rep. Amco is the company that owns Ranch Breakfast and basically owns Sonny Steele now. The Amco rep is at this high school game, and he's like, what's going on? They send him out there. He rides around, and he's clearly drunk. He's almost falling off. And then he stops in the middle of the field. He does a thing where the horse kicks up, jumps up on his hind legs.
up.
Yeah.
Rears up. That's what it's called, Josh.
And then he just falls off at this high school game and lands on the ground, absolutely drunk.
And I love the blinking. He's laying on the ground in the darkness, and all you hear is all you see is blink.
It's the blinking lights.
blink
He's
of the
passed out on the
lights.
ground.
And I like that it's not, you don't
so
see
great.
everyone else. You just see the blink, blink.
Oh, it's
blink.
so good. And so then... And so then you have then you have the mama don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, which is a wonderful song.
Josh won't sing it. He's scared.
And then they're pitching Ranch Breakfast in a mall somewhere, and that's the scene where
All
he's
the
like
stuff
he's like
with
it's Ranch Breakfast is so great. It's got he's clearly never eaten it or seen it before. It's got nuts and berries and oats and
Eggs.
meatloaf.
It's got more nutrients than
It's just got
eggs,
so much stuff.
bacon,
he's the worst.
meatloaf.
He's drunk there, and then he's at a grocery store opening.
Kids crying on the
Patarazis!
Kids
Horse.
cry. Oh yeah, that's right. At the rodeo.
And then
Is that the one where he sees the woman?
He's a hot ticket item. This girl's like, Sonny.
Yeah, there's some woman who's there.
Sonny. And he's with this kid on the rocker.
He's riding on a, what's it called? What are those little horses called?
Rocking
The little
horse.
grocery store,
Or I don't know, what thing?
grocery store
Who
electric horse
cares?
thing. And he's on this stupid little plastic
the
horse.
kid.
This kid who's doesn't want to be on the horse. And then this woman waiting. You do the voice very well.
I don't remember what she says, but she's basically saying that they canoodled,
Yeah.
and which is trying to show he's a little bit of a man.
remember me
Remember me
from the rodeo last month?
rodeo last month at the rodeo.
Yeah, so he's a drunk.
He's like-
doing the circuit. He's sleeping
And
around.
the kid's crying. And he goes, "I know how you feel."
Yeah, the
He's
kid
so
starts crying, and he's
because he
yeah.
was married, and he was just showboating.
He is married.
He's married.
So then he goes
showboating
into
around.
the
Carlotta.
Then there's a Charlotta. So then there's a
Just kidding.
cut to a commercial for Amco Rising Star, which is a horse. It's like the most amazing racehorse you've ever seen. And it's this like, AMCO, I'm guessing stands for American Corporation. AMCO,
Cool.
they do all sort. They have cereals, they have this, they have that, whatever, and they have this for some reason a racehorse that they've spent $12 million on having this racehorse, and it's in this commercial. It's running around the open plains, and they're like Amco and Rising Star. I don't even know what the commercial's about. It's just about the corporation, and then you realize they're watching it. Willie Nelson, who plays Wendell, and Leroy. And Redford or Sonny Steele, they're in this hotel room.
That trio of
They're
best
hanging
friends.
out. Yeah, they're best friends, probably from the old days. They're sort of trying to bring up that maybe he should like take it easy on the booze, and like maybe you should like take a break from this whole thing. And something about the Malibu house comes up, which is so funny because like
What's wrong with the Malibu
Leroy
house?
brings something about that. He's like, there's no cowboy shouldn't have no Malibu house, and Redford's like, wait. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't remember you complaining about the Malibu house. All I remember you out there wearing them flippers in your feet, looking dumb.
And he looks down like, I know.
And so they're sort of getting on about his lifestyle. They're basically sort of saying like, you're not really a cowboy anymore, and maybe you should like take a break and like detox a bit. And he gets all pissed. And then Willie Nelson, there's like a weird
He starts
pause.
to storm away, and they're like,
He just kind of sits in a chair and he's pissed and he starts drinking, and Willie Nelson's just Mama, and he's don't let your baby, and they all start singing this song. By the way, I don't know if you noticed in this scene, we mentioned eons ago that we decided to go and watch this with our dad because he's a fan of this movie. That's what we got Maroney's. That's where the spaghetti comes into this. And so we got Maroney's and watched this thing, and Dad in the middle of the scene goes, I've always loved that plaid shirt.
oh my God. Okay, just to be clear, we died because we're watching this movie he loves, and he goes, always love that shirt. And I was like, what?
Yeah, Redford's wearing this like red plaid shirt.
It's like a red, green, and white.
Down to like mid-sternum.
It's literally any plaid shirt you get at Christmas.
And he's just like, I've always loved that shirt.
And I was like, the plaid shirt? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you realize that for like the last 50 years we could have bought you that shirt for Christmas?
Could have had that plaid shirt.
That's so weird. I was like, what the?
What
you
Jessi was afraid
talking
to is our
about?
dad. Our dad is someone who all about the spaghetti. And what was so funny with Maroney's is that our dad is someone who really wants to take care of people. He wants to make sure.
Wait, are you gonna interrupt this with a spaghetti story?
Yes.
Okay.
He wants but I'm gonna make it brief. He wants to like make sure you're taken care of and happy. And he just wants to make sure that you're like having a good time. And so Jessi brings these Maroney's in, and they come in these tins.
You get takeout, you get that aluminum tin with a little paper top. So
top.
we always open the top and just eat
You
it
just
out of the
tin.
thing.
Yeah. But in the last few years, we started having it in bowls for some reason. I don't know why.
Because our mom is very fancy. Emily Post.
So anyway,
Hashtag Emily Post.
so Dad had bowls. So our mom's out of town, and so Dad's got a few bowls out on the counter, which is I'm thrilled about because it's not like because Mom would have had like candles and everything set. It's like we're just watching.
You
the
go
movie.
over hot dogs and she's got like
forget it.
napkins and
There's
lights.
a flower
and
arrangement. It's enough. So he's just got bowls and spoons like thrown on the counter, which is great. I love it. But he says, Jess, you want to put your spaghetti in a bowl? And she's like, no, I'm gonna eat out of the tin. And then he's like, well, I got bowls here. If you want to put the spaghetti in the bowl, you want to put the spaghetti in the bowl? I got a bowl here. And he said this, it must have been 8 times in the next 5 minutes.
At least. Well, if you want that, you can put it in the bowl. You can put it in the microwave.
Your choice.
You can heat it up.
You can heat it up in the bowl
You
if
can
you
do
want.
whatever you need to do.
Your choice. You want to keep it in the that's fine. But I have a bowl here. If you want to put it in the bowl. Great. So anyway, they're singing Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, and they kind of are like they're all friends again. And then the Redford does that. Don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. I don't know what that is, but for some reason it's always stuck in our heads.
They rope him back in with that friendship.
They're all friends again at the end of that. But I will say, what we're realizing is like we're seeing a picture of this guy who's everything is falling apart. He's lost his identity. He's not even Sonny Steele. He's the ranch breakfast cowboy.
Norman.
We're not even there yet.
I know.
He's the ranch breakfast cowboy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have. He's doing these grocery store openings like he's a nobody. And this is underlined in this next scene where they are showing up again late, and he's not drunk on this one, but he's definitely a little bit tipsy. They show up to the next gig, which is, I can't remember what it is. It's another high school or maybe a college
Same
game
thing.
or
It's
something.
like the same exact scene.
And
almost.
they see the AMCO rep. And
He goes, "Come here, let me show you
and
something."
And they get out like, "Sorry, we're late." He's like, "Yeah, it's okay. No, we're not in a rush." And they're like, "What do you mean?" You're like, "We're late." And he's like, "Yeah, it's okay. Let me show you something." And they walk out, and out on the field it's at nighttime again, is someone riding around on a horse all lit up, and they're saying, "Sonny Steele, Ranch Breakfast Cowboy."
And that face he makes is like,
Patarazis!
Well, it's great because he does. As I said this before about him, I think he's a really underrated actor because he's so damn handsome and he's such a movie star.
Beautiful.
But he's a really great actor.
his
I don't think
expression. Well, first of all, if
doesn't
you're
get the
if you're
respect
an
he deserves.
actor learning how to play drunk or
He's so good.
devastated,
Yeah.
that's the one. Dudley Moore and Robert Redford.
So he comes out in this and he sees, and what he says to him, he's like that. He's like, "That ain't me." And the AMCO rep says, "Well, they don't know the difference." Oh. And there's he has this look right there, and it just completely dawns on him that he's nobody. He's not even himself anymore. So then it cuts to Vegas. We're in Vegas now, and we see Jane Fonda. She's in an elevator. She's a reporter, and she's talking to this AMCO exec, and she's in there with her producer as they're going up the elevator, and they basically say something about Sonny Steele, the cowboy. And he's like, he's nobody. You don't want to talk to him. And the AMCO rep gets off, and Jane Fonda's like,
so
well,
they don't want us to talk to the cowboy.
they don't want us to talk to the cowboy.
She's such a.
And the producer goes,
I love.
and
her.
the producer's like, well, where do you want to start first? She's like, where do you think? So she's like, she's for some reason decided that AMCO does
Love
not want
her.
them talking to the cowboy. So then we see
Josh
her.
also met Jane Fonda, but we won't.
We
talk
already
about
talked
that.
about that
Yeah,
in the
no,
other one.
It's worth repeating.
Barefoot in the Park. I mean,
It's
I don't.
great.
Who knows what order these go in? But yeah, there's a Jane Fonda
It's
story in the
worth
Barefoot in the
repeating.
Park one. So anyway, Jane Fonda. Then she's interviewing Willie Nelson, and she's like, "What is he like?" And he says, "Oh, you got to know him a long time to really know what he's like or whatever." And she's like, "Well, how long have you known him?" And she's starting to pick around. She's curious what this guy's about. And then I guess Sonny pulls up. He's driving this huge Cadillac and he's drunk. He's driving the strip. He gets out and he sees Rising Star, the horse, in the parking lot of the where the Caesars, I guess, is where they are. And he kind of looks at it, and then Dad goes, as Redford pulls up, Dad goes, "Oh, Redford, master of double takes." Which is true. It was just so funny.
He is the master of double takes, and then I said, of course, the only time that his double takes have been truly honored on screen is Legal Eagles, when Deborah Winger
Legal Eagles.
is talking. He's the district attorney, and he's whatever. What do you call that? Questioning someone on the witness stand.
Cross-examining.
Right, that's what I meant. Anyway. She imitates his double take on screen. And
Oh, really?
Kind of, yeah. She
I
goes,
didn't know that.
She goes,
I remember.
I learn a lot from you. She's like, you do this look. And he's like, what look? And she's like, this.
Oh, yeah,
And
you're
she's
right.
like, I practice it in the mirror.
You're
And it's
right.
the only time where someone,
No, that's not true. The guy in sneakers does it, too.
no, it's not that. Like, he's imitated it, but no one ever basically said, like,
Right.
that's your
The double
look.
take guy,
Like, he
yeah.
just did it. Now, that guy, we had to talk about that another time. That guy,
He's amazing.
oh my God.
He was also in Twin Peaks.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that was a great story. So anyway, Sonny
You're a slut and no one loves you.
Sonny he
Even your
pulls up
wife.
and sees Rising Star in the parking lot, and then he's late to this press conference. So that goes into this. I have to talk about an acting thing in this. I just love this so much, and I
What?
forgot to look this up. Darn it!
What?
Talk about the press conference for a second while I look something up. Go.
What do you mean?
He goes to a press conference. AMCO's having a press conference. They're doing some kind of weird thing in Vegas.
No, I know,
There's
but
like
what?
a general
All
of the
they're
press
walking to
conference.
the press
There's-
conference. He's late, obviously. He sits at the stand, and he's like, what do I have to say? And they were like, if we're lucky, nothing. And the first thing that happens is he sits down, and she starts interrogating
It's not
him.
the first thing that happens.
Then what are you asking me? Lady, I don't want to tussle
So
with
here's
you.
what I want to
Oh
say about.
my
I want to have
God.
one. She's correct. These things are true.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would like to also say there's this crazy press conference going on. AMCO, whatever. They're merging. They're trying to buy a bank.
Here you go.
This
Fancy.
is an important thing. This is like the whole point of the story.
Yeah.
why this is such a big deal. What happens? They're trying to buy a bank. And they have this panel's nuts. There's like Sonny Steele. There's a general for some reason.
I don't get
And
that.
then there's a couple of other people and an actor. And I just want to mention like one moment
he's
here.
awesome.
This guy, this is what I was looking at. His name is Quinn K. Redeker. He plays Bud Broderick. This guy, looking up his credits, he's a character actor. He's been in a billion things.
He
all through his
reminds me
life.
of the Raising Arizona guy.
He was in The Deer Hunter, apparently.
With Robert Redford.
Yeah, he's been in like, let me see his credits.
Does he die in that too?
He's
I
got
don't like
like
when he dies.
80 some credits. He's just tons of TV, this and that, like all over the place. But this guy, and it's just as an acting thing, Sonny walks in and he kind of like sneaks in and sits on the table, and all you hear, it's a total throwaway thing, but a reporter's like, Bud, who's the actor, he's like, I have a question for Bud, and it just cuts to this guy, and he's sitting at a panel, and he somehow he had some piece of paper that he's been clearly tearing up into tiny little pieces. We don't know what that's about or why. He's just holding. He goes, I have a question for Bud. It cuts to Bud, and he just does this thing where he kind of like looks up, like he's like, who, me? And like kind of does that. He kind of has the paper in his hands, and he kind of throws it up and drops his hands like, what do you got? And it's
like
this look,
confetti.
and I don't understand. It's just, this is the acting thing. Everything about this guy, this actor, in that one motion. He doesn't even say anything. He just has this look like, oh, me, as I'm Bud.
You almost think he's like a star, like part of the movie because he stands out.
He's so
Yeah.
good in that, like, he says nothing there, but you're just like, everything about that actor immediately.
Yep.
And he's just fantastic.
But doesn't he remind you of the guy from Raising Arizona?
A little bit. So then they asked some question about, like, who was the best kisser of all your leading ladies? And I can't remember what he says.
It's like, what part of the body are you talking about?
Yeah, he's like, he has he has like literally one line in this movie, and he's so memorable to me. And it's just like a great lesson in, like, he does the one little motion, he completely defines the character instantaneously, and you just love him. Anyway, it's complete, has nothing to do with his movie. I so admire when there's one little moment an actor does something that
because
really,
it's super genuine. It's like
it's
that
so
moment
real,
is,
and you're just like, oh, I get this person. That's a hard thing to do in such a small amount of time, and he does it so brilliantly. So anyway, yes, Sonny Steele walks up, and then so there's that question to Bud, and then the next question, and like Sonny's kind of laughing because the question is, what's your the leading lady, the best kisser? Well, what part of the body are you talking about? Everyone goes ha 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 ha, and Sonny's laughing, and in the midst of that, Jane Fonda's like, what is she saying, Mr.
Steele, why were you late to the press conference?
And everything quiets down, and all eyes are on Sonny Steele.
Oh, he was a nurse. I was given CPR to a bottle of tequila, and she didn't make it.
She didn't make it. It's a great joke, and everyone laughs, and they think, we'll move on now. And then she asks some other question for him.
I'm like, Sonny, do you actually eat ranch breakfast?
For breakfast? And he goes, well, no. And she starts with him, and he goes, I eat ranch breakfast for lunch.
He goes, no, ma'am, I eat steak and eggs for breakfast. I eat ranch breakfast for lunch.
Yeah. And then she asks some other question. I can't remember what that is, but it's basically like, you're not a star anymore. She says, you used to be a big rodeo star, and now you're hawking like your breakfast cereal. How do you feel about that?
And he goes, lady, I don't want to tussle with you, or something like that.
And then they're like, okay, I think we're going to move on. And then they kind of stop the press conference essentially, and they move on.
He's pissed.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and it's like his first clash with her, and he's definitely bothered by it.
Yeah.
The next scene is the rehearsal for Disco Magic with the director, who is another fantastic character actor in this thing, who has a few lines in the movie, but he's clearly playing kind of an eccentric, possibly gay director, and he's just like, and he's just trying to he's trying to direct this cowboy, and they bring
wait,
what?
After seeing Rising Star in the parking lot,
Yeah.
he checked his eyes. He sees the horse is high. He's very upset. So when he walks on that stage, he's already pissed off.
Well, he says, let's bring the horse out, and he says, where's the horse? Can I see the horse? And the director's like, bring out the horse, because the horse isn't on there yet.
Bring out the horse.
So they bring the horse on, and then Sonny's questioning the trainer, and he's like, what's wrong with his tendon? What do you got him? What do you got?
He's a handler.
What do you got him on? Like, and Sonny's like, he can see this horse is all drugged up. It's not like they're not taking good care of him, and you can see it bothers him. So when the director tries to get out of business, he gives the script, and he's like, you're gonna say, ranch breakfast is the breakfast of whatever. And he's like, ain't that right, rising star? And if you agree, don't say anything. And then he goes, oh, it's fun. It's fun. I love that so much. Ranch, and he tries ranch breakfast. He just can't get through it.
He's so pissed.
And he's so angry, he just leaves.
Well, it's kind of like he's like, I've given up on myself, but he gets to that. He gets to the core of his like personhood. He's like, you know what? I might be a POS, but it shows like, it's like you make that switch from like,
well, he's remembering. He remembers here. He's like, what am I doing here? Here's a horse on stage, and he's starting to care about an animal again,
yeah,
which
and
is
he's
probably
like,
where it all began.
And I think that the idea of rodeo is people are like, oh, it's just a big show, and he really does love horses. He loves that.
Yeah.
He loves the whole thing, and he's like, to see an animal on stage like that, like used.
So it gets to him, and he's thinking of Jane Fonda, so he storms out at his rehearsal, because they're going to do this whole performance later. That's what this rehearsal's for. So he storms off into this. They're in Vegas. He's in this casino, and their Amco's having this big reception with all these donors and all this kind of stuff. And he's really kind of blowing everybody off. It's pretty funny how he does it all, but we won't get into it because it won't matter. Then he finds his Amco executive, the head guy, and the Amco executive's like, oh, Sonny Steele's about time you met. And he's having none of it. He says, what's the deal with this horse? Like, you're not taking care of your horse. And the Amco exec keeps trying to like deflect and joke. And finally he has enough. And he says, Mr. Steele's like, you voluntarily accepted a high paid and relatively simple job, which is him putting him in his place, saying, we own you.
You're right.
And then Redford says, you're right. And he says, and the Amco exec has this great line. He goes, I don't want to be just right.
Ugh.
And Sonny Steele says, you want me to like it.
Oh, he's so hot.
And it's such a great thing where it's like it turns, and this executive clearly owns him in that moment. And Redford sees he's completely lost his identity in his career. He's sold his soul away, essentially. And then the Amco executive says, he's like, we have to talk about this some other time. And they walk off. And as the crowd of executives walk off, he says, one guy says, what do you want me to do with him? And the Amco says, when this is over, get rid of him. Oh. And so we now know he's lost his job.
But he's so pretty.
On top of everything else. So then he sees Charlotte. We don't know who he sees. He sees somebody he's trying to avoid in the casino, and he's walking. Charlotta shows up, who's his wife. And she's shown up trying to get him to sign these divorce papers, which apparently he won't sign. Which is just another thing about how his life is crumbling. He's irrelevant. By the way, this is Valerie Perrine who plays this role.
Is she in Superman?
Yes.
Yeah,
she was a huge star. On this poster, which is a great poster, by the way, because it's just Redford holding Fonda upside down, and they're out in the mountains somewhere.
Oh, when he's holding her.
He's holding her like this, and she's upside down. So all you see is him crouched over like this. Her boots are shooting up in the air, and it just says Redford Fonda Electric.
God.
That's all it says.
God, they're so hot.
And then in the bottom, in big print, is Willie Nelson and Valerie Perrine. So she was like a big old star at that point.
Sure was.
Yeah, she was in Superman. She was so many things. But she's wonderful. And she's in this, by the way, for like 2 scenes. I doubt she worked more.
Pretty.
I doubt she worked more than 2 days on this thing, because all her scenes are in the casino. So yeah, his life is crumbling, and he's even irrelevant in his personal life because he's not even married anymore. He doesn't even have that identity. And not only that, she says she's found someone else now. And it's another rodeo star that he clearly knows. So it's like he's even been replaced by another guy that does what he does, who's still doing the rodeo, which is the real thing.
And let me pause for one moment as you continue on.
Yeah.
As is so standard with men, he's a little bit of a narcissist. And even though he seems like it's hard to let her go, I don't know that he's fully conscious of any of that. Like, you guys are just like that. Not you.
No,
You're very.
wait, conscious of what?
I don't even. I think
That he's irrelevant. Is what I'm saying.
no. I think her. I think she probably, I know this is very deep. She did a lot of work to make that work. And he was like, well, who are you?
Oh yeah, well she says that. She goes talks about how like he used to show up drunk in the middle of the night with like 20 cowboys, and she'd had to make breakfast for them all.
Seats.
And then like how she would making out with all these women in the back seats, and he's like, well, if it wasn't for back seats, we wouldn't have met. I mean,
He doesn't.
clearly, he has no idea.
Narcissist.
She has a couple of great lines in this too, where she says something to the effect where she says, "You're just walking around to save funeral expenses."
Oh, I love that
It's
line.
Such a great line.
And I love when he's like, give me the papers. And she goes, really?
Yeah.
Or like, you serious? Or something.
Yeah, she just
For real?
She just she just dunks on this guy throughout this whole scene. You're just walking around to save funeral expenses. Another one is you couldn't get through an airport metal detector stark naked. And after she says that, that's when she goes, just give me the papers.
Yeah.
And then she's like shocked.
Yeah.
And then he signs them. And as soon as he signs them, he signed over when he became the ranch breakfast cowboy. He has no identity now either. He's not a husband.
No.
He has no. We know he has no job. He's in an elevator, and then he's in this elevator in his ridiculous outfit going somewhere. And there's this one. It's this random scene. He's just in there, and he looks at the emergency exit button, and he just stares at it, and he just slams it.
And you know what? Do we ever see what?
No,
He just needs a minute, and that's like their way of saying it.
Yeah, well, it's emergency exit. Like his life is absolute.
Patarazis!
He's just
That was
he
deep.
just slams it, and it's just a character moment of like this, because what's about to happen. He has we know he's drunk. He's lost his job, or he doesn't even know. But we know he's gonna lose his job. He's lost his wife. His friends aren't standing behind him. He has nothing going for him anymore. And he slams this button alone. He's in this ridiculous outfit. And then he goes to this show that they were, quote, rehearsing before. And we have Disco Magic, which is one of the most insane disco songs.
Moving out. Listen to the funky sound.
Disco Magic.
Disco Magic.
So this is just burned on our brains for our entire lives because of this thing.
I play that all the time.
There are all these
in my Jetta.
there are all these dancers doing this dance out on this huge stage. It's the big Amco party or whatever. And Sonny's supposed to get on this horse and ride out and like do that whole dialogue the director's getting to do. So he's backstage and he's looking at the dancers and he's looking at the horse and he's looking at himself in this thing. And the director says something about you after the dancers leave, you'll go out with Rising Star.
He's got nothing left to lose.
And he has nothing left to lose, and he just gets up on the horse, plugs his lights in, and the director, he goes,
This is your favorite part.
not now. And he starts to move, and he goes, not now. And he goes out on stage, he goes, not now. And he rides out on stage in the middle of the dancers, and everyone in the audience is like, oh, and they start applauding because it's Sonny Steele on Rising Star. Rising Star is probably the bigger appeal at that point. And he rides off right through the stage, through all the dancers, rides right down off the stage and right out into the casino. And
everyone's like, oh.
And I guess when he gets in the casino is when Midnight Cowboy, they cue that up, which is just such a killer song. And Willie Nelson's version of it is so wonderful. I'm assuming he wrote it because it's not the Allmans who wrote that, I don't think. But yeah, so talk about his ride to the casino for a second. Go.
Why?
Because
I got nothing other than singing.
Well, yeah,
I gotta run.
So it's this great sort of thing where
They're
he's just
just
riding
all
through,
like,
and everyone in the casino is
holy
like, "Oh my god, there's a guy on a horse who's lit up."
And I think as they're actually seeing him, they're like, "Oh my god, it is actually Sonny Steele on this big,
Patarazis!
beautiful horse." Whereas before it was just a name, and there he is. And also,
I mean,
forget
maybe.
that deep stuff.
I
They're
think
watching a horse ride through a casino.
Yeah,
and when
that's
you're
really
playing
what
the
it is.
slots, you're like, Jesus Christ, what the heck is going on? It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, I'm wrong. It is by the Allman Brothers.
It's like clip, clop, 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 clop. And then
I
he
would
just
never
starts
have guessed that.
riding out of the casino and right down the boulevard.
Yeah,
and
that's right. He rides straight out of the casino,
Love
down the strip. He turns off the strip, and then at perfect moment in the song. As he's riding into the dark, he clicks his lights off, and then you just hear the clip clop of the thing.
Oh, it's so cool.
And then it cuts to this. So that's like he has taken this leap. He's cut ties and he is off. And this is sort of where we begin. And then so then there's this meeting the next day with the AMCO execs, and they're all, or actually it's that night, I'm sure. And they're all like, "What the heck's going on? What did this guy?" You know, the head AMCO exec guy, who's played by John Saxon, who was also in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was the dad in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one that Dad was like, he's perfectly cast for this?
Yeah, John Saxon had this kind of like very like jerk kind of look.
He's really intense.
He's super intense looking, and so he finds out for the first time that they're mistreating the horse, and he's a little pissed about it too. So they realize that they say this. He says if we mismanage the horse, we've mismanaged the merger, which is a bit much, but still, it's a $300 million merger that's at stake.
It's giving Pretty Woman. And
now they're having this $12 million horse that just got stolen, and they're talking about at least it's a PR nightmare, and they're worried about the deal going away, which is why this is very important. So after that, it cuts. Like Sonny's dead. Love this shot. It's the desert. In the morning.
Oh, yes. he pops up over a rock.
And he just like wakes. He's clearly just absolutely hungover. And he's like, he looks up over this rock and he sees the horse.
He's got more hair than face.
And he looks at the desert. And you can just see he's like, oh no.
Like he's like, oh my.
Like this is a terrible decision.
No.
They're talking about grand larceny. It's a felony to steal a horse. Meanwhile, Fonda is now on the case. She's interviewing everyone. She's interviewing the AMCO exactly what's going on. He's downplaying it. He's like, oh, he's just got to cool out, And something about the phrase "cool out" reminds her of something that she heard with Willie Nelson. She goes to her tape recorder
Gus.
and hears Willie Nelson saying, "Oh yeah, it's a place, Sonny used to go to cool out, old Gus's place." And so she starts trying to investigate who this Gus is. And then she goes and interviews Wendell, he's a total dimwit, and figures, she's like, oh, we have a mutual friend. It's Gus. And she's like, yeah, Gus so-and-so. She's like, oh, no, I know Gus so-and-so. He's up in blah, 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 blah. And so she finds out where Gus is. Meanwhile, we've seen Sonny kind of scoping out a place. We don't know what it is, but now he's in a camper. He's got an RV. And he's got the horse in the RV. And he's driving along. And he
got the RV from Gus.
Well, yeah, but we don't know that yet.
Oh.
And so then Sonny's in like a convenience market, and he's asking for this hippie woman for like tons of eucalyptus leaves. Which, is that a real treatment? Do you think?
I don't know. I think I'm allergic, so I don't know.
I mean, it must be. So he's asked for all these eucalyptus leaves.
If Redford asked for it, then it's real.
Okay, I think that's fair. So then Fonda finds Gus, who's such a fantastic character. He's just
Leroy.
He's just this old guy.
God. You know what he's like
in the middle
from
of the
Always?
desert.
He's like that guy.
He is like that guy from Always.
He is.
He's living out in the middle of the desert. He's got this fiddle.
Gone.
And Fonda walks up.
Oh my God.
And she's just like, and he's just playing the thing, and he's like, "You wounded?" And she's like, "What?" And she says, I'm on the TV, and he's just a crazy old man.
Do you have a television? What does he say?
He says, TV, I can't remember what he says to that, but at one point he goes, TV, like it works sometimes. Sometimes TV comes a flashing, woo, 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 woo. And he's, again, this cup you brought is terrible.
These are cups from our
I
childhood.
don't like these cups, and they spill all over everything.
But it's good for the leather.
Oh, so anyway. So she goes and finds out from this awesome character where Sonny might be going. And so Fonda tricks Gus into thinking like she's a friend. They're all worried about him. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to like she's sneaking up somewhere in the middle of the night, and she gets full on tackled and slapped in the face by Redford.
Oh, that's the best. That's the best.
Gosh.
Don't stop there. When they're... Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
What are you saying?
No, go ahead. You're not going to... You took notes. This dork took notes while we were watching.
That's what I do for all
Once
movies.
in a while, I was falling asleep. Josh
you
was
you
taking
did fall
notes. By
asleep.
the way, so this is the perfect example of who we are as children of the cooks. Is I'm like, and Josh is like, oh,
Taking
Patarasis.
notes because I gotta
you're a
get
little
through this.
type A, and I'm like, I'll remember
Not
later.
type A so much. I got to keep us on track.
Yeah, you
I'm
do.
not doing a
yeah,
great
you
job
do a
of it.
great job.
But what were you going to say about tackling and slapping?
Just say it. Just keep going.
So
Y'all
anyway,
don't
he
learn.
basically finds out he's got her. He doesn't know who she was, so that's why he tackled her. And then he's like, "What are you doing here? How'd you find me?" She's like, Gus told me." And he's like, "You scare that old man?" And he slaps her, and she's like, "No, whatever." And then he finally lets her up, and they're saying something, and then she goes, "Wait a minute, you hit me in the face, you son of a bitch!"
Patarasis.
And
And she hits
slaps
him. That's what I was talking about.
And then she slaps him. And then they're talking about how it's a $12 million horse. Why'd you take the horse? And I have a note that she's wearing leather pants.
She's so hot. Good Lord.
And he said, so he leads her to this cave that he's like kind of sleeping in. And
Which is definitely like a
she-
real bad set.
and she's
but
like,
still.
she's like, what the hell's going on here? And she's trying to convince him to like give her the story. And he says, I've just retired from public life. And she goes, boy, are you wrong about that? Or he's like, do you realize what you've just done? Like, you know.
He rode over the $12 million horse.
Yeah. And so he says, I'm nobody's story but my own. And then she's like, well, I'm going to follow you because he's getting the horse in the camper and everything. And so he takes a knife out and pops her.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Whatever she said.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm going to get this fixed and I'm going to come follow you. And, you know, I'm going to call the police. And he goes, no, you won't. No, you won't. Captured horse thief ain't no story. and then he drives off. And then he drives off, and then Fonda does a report that's airing on TV, which he sees because he's in a convenience
I love
store.
it. The dim glow of the light.
One of the things he says when he's like, I'm not going to give you my story. So you're going to twist it all around, make stuff up or whatever. She's like, I won't. And then he sees the report, and she's there, and she has that great quote. What does it go?
I don't know. By the dim glow of the firelight. Something
By
like
the
that.
dim glow of a shrouded campfire.
There it is.
Yeah.
He's like, is he wearing the sunglasses?
He's
and
wearing
like-
the sunglasses. He's trying to go incognito, and he's like watching this thing, and the shopkeeper's watching him, like he's kind of like putting the pieces together, and he's just like he can't believe what he's hearing this report. And basically, she's saying we had a long-ranging conversation for hours, and he told me all this stuff, and it's all she made it all up. And so then the Amco execs are interviewing her, and they're like, "What? Where is he?" She's like, "I don't know," and all this kind of stuff. Then we have that scene I said where Willie Nelson or Wendell's like, "I can't believe she tricked us." It's like she said she
Oh.
liked my ring, and Willie Nelson says she liked
my
your ring,
watch.
she liked my watch, I liked her eyes. So then you have Amco is planning stories in the media about how Sonny's an alcoholic because they're trying to turn the tide because people are like starting to be like, yeah, Sonny, we're on Sonny's side. Charlotta finds Fonda in the casino, and it's you made a comment here, and it's a great point.
Yeah, I
Which
love
is like-
these. Do it.
Which is like Charlotta sees Fonda and she's like, is Sonny okay? And she's like, I'm his ex, and she's like, and Fonda's like, I know, I want to hear all about Sonny. And they have it where, Fonda's trying to find more information, of course. And Charlotta, there's some question about, so Fonda asks, like, why is he so charming or whatever? And Charlotta just goes, oh,
She laughs.
and she laughs, and it cuts there. And Jessi was like, if this was some crappy movie now, you would cut to them having some conversation about Sonny.
Yes.
And it's so true. They just have that laugh. You've met Charlotta. You get
You know
Valerie
it.
Perrine so great. You know who she is. You know what their relationship is from that one scene. We don't need to see another scene about information Charlotta gives. It's just that one moment. It's probably less than a minute, that scene. And you get everything you need to know. You know that Charlotte is going to give up some kind of information, but we don't need to hear what it is.
No. You get it.
Yeah.
And the acting speaks for itself. You don't need to expand or do one of those cheesy side scenes.
No,
or
it's so well done.
flashback.
It's a great
like,
economy. It's economy of story there. It's really well done. And then it cuts to the middle of the night. Fonda's asleep. Her phone rings. She answers it. And he says,
Yes.
I think it's time for another wide-ranging conversation from the dim glow of the campfire.
Oh.
And she's like, and he
Is
wants,
it you?
Yeah, he wants her to come meet him somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I guess he has an idea. And so then we find out Amco is searching for him. Fonda goes out. She's in the middle of nowhere. She's brought a camera, and she goes to tape him. And she sets up the camera and starts recording without him knowing. And she's talking to him, and he gives this great speech about the horse and like he's seen him run and how great it is and like how they're shooting
recording the whole time.
Yeah, she's recording, but he doesn't know it. And he's really passionate about this horse, and you see like who he really is and
natural,
how passionate is about things.
Yeah.
And then he finishes this whole speech where he basically says, this thing's shot up with steroids. They couldn't even, he's like, that's the funny thing. If they wanted to pass on some of these great genes, they couldn't even do it because he's sterile. The steroids make the horse sterile.
Yeah.
And then he finally finishes, and he's like, all right, why don't you start recording? Let's get this little Hummer going, which I also noticed. I think that's why Dad refers to things as Hummers.
Oh, my God. Can I tell you a real awkward story?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
At one point, I think I was younger, like in high school or something, and I said, Dad, he was like, every password was Hummer, everything was this, and I was like,
no.
Dad, you got to stop saying that. And he goes, why? And I was like, well, Hummer's
Patarazis!
it's another word for it's a bad word. And he was like, it's a vehicle. I'm like, okay, well, it's also a vehicle to something else, but sure. Wait, I forgot what my thought was. Damn it. It's gone. Why is there something sparkly on the ground? Anyway. Well, I'm just saying, it looks like the ruby slipper.
Okay.
It's a piece of
So he tries to give a speech on camera when he knows it's terrible.
I got it. I remembered. If any of you are Friends fans, that's like Matthew Perry when he's taking a picture. Do you remember that in the show Friends?
I've heard of it.
Anyway, he can't take a picture. So he can take like a candid or the like, all right, just smile, just be natural. And he smiles, and until the like flash goes off, he's like, he can't take a regular picture. And it's kind of like Sunny, where he says the really natural thing, but as soon as the camera's on, I know, there it is. You brought it full circle.
Actually, you know what? Seth Green told me once, this is interesting. He said there was an actor he was talking about who was a friend of his, but this actor was not a particularly good actor.
Whoa.
But in the 2000s, he had a good career. And Seth was like, yeah, I love that guy. And he's a really good actor, but he's got red light fever.
Oh,
and I was like, what's red light fever? And he's like, in the studios, when you're shooting on a soundstage, when you're going to record, when you're going to shoot the scene, there's a red light that flashes, and it flashes to let everyone know you're recording, be quiet. And he said this one actor was a great guy, super talented, great in rehearsals, always great. And as soon as they went rolling, as soon as that red light went on, he just like froze.
I think that would be me.
And he was very wooden. And so he called that red light fever, which I've always remembered and loved.
I bet that would be me.
So, yeah, so he's got a little case of the red light fever.
I mean, obviously.
So anyway, we then see after this, we see motorcycle cops and all sorts of cops descending on this little town outside of St. George where he was seen by the shopkeeper.
I signed my marriage license in St. George.
Did you really?
I did.
Huh.
St. George is cute. We got A&W root
Did you
beer.
recognize it? Was it from the movie? No way.
St. George, yeah.
Wow.
We had to go to the...
Actually shot in St. George.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's very rare.
I actually don't know that. But they mentioned St. George, so it seems legit. We got A&W
Well, they say
root
near
beer.
St. George, I should say. Anyway, so the interview wraps up, and then that's when he says, she says, what are you going to do with him or whatever? And that's when he says, I'm going to set him free. And she says, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to turn him loose and get him back to what he was.
Turn him loose.
Yeah. And so she's like, you're going to send a $12 million racehorse, let $12 million out into the wild, which is shocking.
He might get harassed by the other horses.
So as they're walking back, she says, where are you going to do it? He's like, well, I'm someplace away from the cameras. And then she says something about Charlotta told me there's some place you used to go. There's some place you used to go that Rimrock Canyon. And he looks at her and goes, damn that woman.
He's smart. He's quick on his feet.
He's like, damn. He's like, that's why I left her. Or well, she left me. And he has this whole thing where he's fond of thinks that she's figured out. Oh, it's Rimrock Canyon. That's where he's gonna let this horse go. And then he, for no reason that I can understand, gives her a letter to mail, but never comes up again. It's never referenced ever in the movie ever. And they reference it one other time. There's nothing. I don't know if it was cut or something, but he gives her a letter to mail for some reason. So she goes to town, drops this letter in the mailbox, and calls her producer and says, oh my gosh, I've got this great story. Guess what? He's going to let him loose. And he's like, what? She's like, how's that for a story? He's like, you got to get back. He's like, you got to stay with him. Go whatever you need to do. And she walks out and she sees all these cops and these checkpoints set up. So she drives back out and finds him. Curiously, he's still in the same place. We're not going to worry about timelines. And stops her. She's like, you can't go back to town. There are cops everywhere. And he basically is like, okay, that's awful. Damn it. And then so she starts unloading all her stuff and putting it in the camper. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, well, I'm in trouble too. If I go back there, I'll be just as much trouble for, aiding and abetting, essentially.
You got to lighten up.
And then a helicopter flies over. And so he's like, all right, fine, let's go. And they drive, I don't understand why, directly into town. I've never understood that one, where it's like they know there are cops there, but he's like, we'll go there anyway. It's a refrigerator
That's
logic
your favorite
moment.
Song.
It's a refrigerator logic moment. So they pull in. He sees he can't get through the checkpoint, so he pulls over and he says, all right, I need you to get down and I need you to count to 60. And she's like, why? He's just do it. He's like, and then I need you, and he tells her where to meet him. So he explains somehow, go meet me at this place. You can find it on a map or whatever. And she's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to run him or whatever. And so he gets on the horse, and that's what that Dave Grusin music, and he backs out of the RV on this horse. He's nursed the horse back to health. And what's that?
That's a horse.
So anyway, okay, so we're in the town, like I said.
This is the only part that makes Dad mad.
What makes him mad?
The chase.
He loves this chase.
He loves the chase, but he doesn't love the 60-second count. Because he said...
Why?
Because at the end, she said, you were great.
Oh, gosh.
And she's like, she had her eyes closed the whole time. How does she know? I'm like, it's a movie.
He does know. That's the same thing he noticed in Sneakers. He notices these weird logic problems.
Don't say anything about Sneakers.
Okay.
Don't.
So anyway, what she's referring to is he backs out of the RV on this horse. The cops see him, and there's this fantastic chase scene that ensues, which is him on the horse running through these fields, being chased by cops on motorcycle
all like,
and cop cars. And it's funny, and it is this,
they're a
and
mess.
that's why I thought that the reviews were interesting to talk about how it's an old-fashioned movie, because it really at this point points to like, this is a guy on a horse, old-fashioned cowboy, completely outrunning these. You see how clumsy these vehicles are because the horse can turn and jump and do these things. And there's that part where he's like in someone's backyard or something, and the motorcycle's right in, and he just rides right past them, and they have to turn around. And it's going to take them a while because they're in the dirt and it's not easy. And so he's just running, and eventually he gets out of town into a straigeway, and he's up on this raised dirt road straightaway. There are cop cars behind him and beneath him and everything, and somehow they get to a moment where a cop car is like, he decides to cut down off the hill, and he's riding down the hill, and a cop car is following him, and then the cop car flips on top of another cop car, and they're driving. It's a ridiculous chase scene, but it's so much fun.
But you're actually right when you say, why do they drive right into town? Not only why do they drive into town, but he backs the horse out in front of a police blockade, and you're like, I mean, you could have
this is the reason I think the reviews are also true.
It's fun.
It's fun and it's old fashioned.
And that's why
it doesn't matter.
You love it, and it really doesn't matter.
And it's a great chase scene.
You want to pick it apart? Great, you'll ruin the movie for yourself.
But I've also never seen a chase scene of motorcycle and horse, and it's great.
Me neither. Or cops that.
And eventually he gets away from them. He rides down into a dry riverbed and starts running.
What are those eggs on that thing? It's really bothering me. What are
They're
those?
shakers.
Why are they there?
Because they fit there.
I've been staring at them for
I
long
have
time.
shakers like in this for music.
It's
egg
really
shakers.
annoying though. They look like Easter eggs. They're not Easter eggs.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway,
All right.
so the
Go ahead.
AMCO is pissed because they lost him. He rides off into the wilderness, and he's saying, "Get the FBI, get everyone after him." He meets Fonda somewhere, and they decide they're gonna ditch the camper and walk. I have something. It says interview on TV. I don't know what that's about. But Fonda wants him to be on TV. Sonny doesn't want to be famous. And then they're in this camper, and she's like, and he starts to lay down and go on a couch essentially and go to sleep. And he's like, she says, "Well, where am I supposed to sleep?" And he goes, "Wherever you want." He just goes to sleep. She's got to figure it out. And this is truly like the whole, like, as the review said, like rough, old fashioned cowboy in like New York. She's wearing these like high heeled boots that go up to her knees.
Listen.
Yeah.
No. I love it. She would be dead. She is hiking around in those Bloomingdale's ass boots. Bloomingburgs. Bloombergs.
He never knows.
Which, by the way, is great because in Barefoot in the Park, like Bloomingdale's.
I know. Well, he keeps calling it Bloomingtons, and he doesn't know what Bloomingdale's is. He keeps mispronouncing it. Anyway, so then the next morning, they're gonna ditch the camper and they're gonna go on foot because everyone's gonna be looking for this camper. And so she's trying to convince him. I can't remember why she's trying to convince him that she's been to the rodeo. But at one point she goes, "I've been to the rodeo twice." And he looks at her and he goes, "Oh, yeah? Did you stay to the end with a rattlesnake roundup?" And she goes, "Yeah, I stayed to the very end." He goes, "There is no such thing," or whatever. And he talks about all the pressure he's under. He goes, "Look," he's like, "I got everyone but the Coast Guard looking for me. And now I'm carrying a crazy woman around with shoes from Bloomingburgs who thinks she's seen a rattlesnake roundup." Which, by the way, I watched the trailer for this. It's in the trailer.
Is it really?
That line's in the trailer.
Oh my
And it's
God,
so great.
it should be.
The trailers have really come a long way because the old trailers are bad.
They basically show the whole movie, though.
They show the whole movie, but it's just like Redford, Fonda.
But
it's not even that. It's like Redford, Fonda, Electric, and it's so bad. Anyway, so then they show up.
Yeah.
They find some guy's house. Sonny shows up in disguise, and it's Wilford Brimley.
Don't
Control yourself.
Just don't
Control yourself. Were you attracted to him in this movie?
No, I did watch him today in Battle for Endor, though. And no, I'm not attracted to
he was
Wilford
in Battle
Brimley.
for Endor.
Is that a joke? Did you make a joke?
Listen, we're gonna do Battle for Endor, but
He
I have to watch it
saves-
because I haven't seen it since I was like 10.
Watch it before it expires.
Yeah, I know. Sonny disguise. Wilford Brimley. So Sonny walks up. He goes, "Oh my!" He gives him some ridiculous stories like, "My thing broke down. I need to use your phone. And I'll pay you for it." He goes, "Oh, sure, go ahead." And
Can you use my
Wilford
phone?
Brimley, he lets him in.
He is
Sonny
hot.
calls Gus,
definitely hot.
and he warns him that people might be coming, asking about the camper.
Leroy.
Tell him I stole the camper. You got it, Gus? Tell him. And that's all he wanted to do. So he leaves, and he tries to pay Wilford Brimley for
I don't want your money, Mr. Steele.
Mr. Steele, I don't want your money.
Oh, he's so hot.
And he said,
Patarasis!
I'm sorry, but he is. God, I'm sorry.
I love that you think Wilford Brimley's hot. I love it.
He's just so sweet and smushy.
Oh,
I just want to give him a big kiss on his
Shut
cheek. On his cheek.
Your face. Don't let me get into the PSA I was going to start this with. I'm keeping that in the back pocket.
Please don't.
That's going to come out at some point.
Stop it! Shut up.
And by the way, that's happened before.
It's happened before. I know it's worse. I don't know which time was worse.
This is what you call a cliffhanger, folks. Anyway,
Oh my God.
writing.
Patarasis!
Let's move
Let's
on.
just say this.
okay?
Let's just say a PSA for all siblings out there. Make sure that you're texting the person you think you're texting and not your sibling.
Stop having the same letter of the first name. Just stop. Okay? All right, go. Move on.
Anyway, I'm damaged.
Traumatized.
Right. Mr. Steele, I don't want your money. And he's seen him on TV and he likes what he's doing. He's like, and he has a tractor trailer. He's like, I'm going to get you. He's like, way to get you out of this county. So he puts him in his tractor trailer with a bunch of cute animals and they ride through a checkpoint and the cops, he's like, hey, you doing there, Bill, or whatever. And the cops like, oh, all right. Just looking for that cowboy.
And the hesitation.
Yeah. He's just looking like, he's like, oh, hope I find him too. I don't know. It's something about
$50,000.
I could do a lot with $50,000 reward.
And he's like,
and there's a shot of Wilford Brimley. He just kind of stares at him for a second, and he goes, "Well, what does he say? I don't even know what he says there." But he basically is just
I wouldn't count on it, something like that.
Yeah, he's like, "Well, I wouldn't count on it." Be about being.
But
able
he
to
has
find
that
him.
moment of like,
Patarazis!
that's
And
a
then
lot
he
of
keeps
money.
and then he keeps driving, and then he keeps driving. And finally, lets them out. And Redford says to him something about like, "Hey." He's like, I owe you. I can't. Not a lot of people you can trust for $50,000. And he says, "You better get going before I realize what I'm doing."
Before I change my mind.
Before I change my mind. And they start walking out of the wilderness, and they see the wilderness, and Fonda has this great moment where she looks out at the mountain. She just goes, "Oh my God." She just realizes she's in these huge heels.
But she never takes.
She's still in heels, and she's still hiking
funny
the
thing,
mountain
and
in
I
these
said,
heels.
I was like, I would take those shoes off, and you're like, not in that like landscape. And I'm like, yes, I would.
Oh yeah, because you're like, I like to walk barefoot everywhere, and it's like you would be, not in a rocky mountain. You can't be walking barefoot in a mountain.
There are a lot of men that enjoy high heels. You're obviously not one of them because it would take about half an hour, and you're like, well, I'm done. I'd rather get a thorn or a.
I'm not saying that high heels are better for hiking. I'm just saying you would cut the hell out of your feet.
Who cares?
So anyway, they're walking in the wilderness, and then Fonda, she's also carrying her like some of her camera equipment and stuff. He got rid of some of it already. He wouldn't let her take some, but she's carrying these heavy things.
Yep.
And she's like, I have to rest. And he's like, keep going. He's like, I have to rest. She's like, Norman! And he stops and looks at her. I guess that's his real name, and that made him stop. Like he's like,
Norman! Can I please do a segue? Where,
how do you know Norman?
How do you know that?
How do you know that name? And they're out in the middle of nowhere, and he does this great take where he's like, how do you know Norman? And he looks around like just to make sure no one else heard. It's great. It's so funny.
What's funny though, and I said it
What?
before, was that when Jane Fonda starred in On Golden Pond with Katharine Hepburn and her dad, Henry Fonda, his name was Norman, and she screamed that name a lot.
That's true.
Norman!
Jane Fonda's career is built on screaming Norman.
It is.
It's true.
And being hot.
So
Did you see...
Barbarella?
No, the one where she's with Donald Sutherland. Clute.
No, I
So
still
good.
haven't seen it.
Oh my God, watch it. So
I
good.
have a house that is perpetually under construction. I have all
And a
sorts of
movie
career
podcast.
things that I'm doing. I have a child. I have busy.
Don't watch Clute with your child.
I don't.
Don't do it.
I don't want to. So then there's, for some reason, he tells her to sing. And they're singing America the Beautiful.
America.
And Dad's very offended by Jane Fonda singing.
She's
I don't know
terrible.
what, so anyway, then later on they're at a campfire. It's nighttime. He learns her name, which is Alice.
Not Hallie. Hallie? What did he call her? Hallie?
Yeah, I guess in the movie she's called Hallie.
At
and
first-
she says when she was a kid, her name was Alice, but her sister used to call Alice, and so she's called Hallie.
Now, in the movie Up Close and Personal, starring Robert Redford and Michelle Pfeiffer, her name is Alice, I think, but they call her... I forget. But they call her...
Why are we doing it?
They call her Tally. And Robert Redford also dies in that movie. And there's also a story about
no
Dad.
one cares about this.
But I'm saying Hallie Tally. It's a thing. All
Doesn't matter. Norman, Hallie. Give
It's
up with this.
not
No one
worth
cares
it.
about the names. We're talking about this movie, for God's sakes.
It's related.
I have here
it's
written
related.
pair of proper shoes. I don't know why.
Get yourself a pair of proper shoes, which is also
It's in
mentioned
quotes.
in The Lake House starring Keanu
Don't
Reeves.
mention other movies. Are we lost? She says, are we lost? He says, good night, Alice. Good night, Norman. They're starting to have some kind of respect for each other. We're getting, because obviously they've been at odds. Then the campsite in the morning, which, Robert Redford does some great waking up in this movie. There's some great waking up acting in this movie.
You should watch the movie for his facial expressions alone. Oh,
Great expressions. So the campsite, Fonda's taking some pills,
Yep.
because she doesn't know to sleep in front of strangers, which is such a great,
That's such a New York,
weird
like,
New York anxiety thing. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Why you afraid what you're gonna look like with your mouth open?"
which we all are.
And then they somehow in this flirtation they start.
She's uncomfortable.
Wait, is this at night? Maybe this is at night.
Yeah,
This is at night. I'm sorry, it's not the morning. It's at night.
Do they make smoochy face?
Because he falls asleep, but then he wakes up because she's.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. It's in the middle of the night. She's
Yep.
getting pills, and he wakes up in the middle of the night, and then he says she says she can't sleep in front of strangers, so she's taking pills. He says, "You afraid? Where you can look at with your mouth open?" Then they start making out, and then she says, "I still pinch and bite," which is a callback to earlier about when. I don't know what it was about, but it was a callback to something innocent earlier, when she was a kid, I guess.
But it was still pretty weird.
And so then they
I'm not even sure Dad knew what that meant.
They bed on down, and then it's the morning.
Wow, that
then
was
it's the
weird.
morning after. Then he does his fantastic waking up acting.
The best.
Just
I'm not
hold
gonna
on.
say it.
So he's disoriented. He's disoriented. He's like totally out of it. He wakes up. Great wake up acting, and she's up and like staring at
Heidi.
him.
She's
and dressed,
Heidi.
She is full on our mom there, like just
Yep.
like, here we go.
Morning.
She's super anxious.
I'll check the
She's like, I've made some. There's coffee. It's not hot. And she's like, well, probably it's not hot if you haven't heated it. Like, and she's just super awkward and weird. And she's talking. And finally she's like, well, there's this, there's that. And she goes, and if you're hungry, there's cheese. To which my sister's favorite line, he delivers. He looks at her, very confused, with his eyes half closed, and says,
Cheese.
cheese.
Like just.
And then
We say it all the time,
and
like
then,
our whole lives.
cheese.
Everything.
Yeah.
Dad, what do you want on your sandwich? Like, do you want cheese? Cheese. Anytime cheese comes up,
Yeah, it's great.
cheese.
And so he has some line here, which is another great line. So some parts wake up faster than others because he's like so
Which I
painful
now
getting
understand.
up, and he's got. Yeah, we're older, we get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So
But his butt looks good.
They have a whole thing about in here where it's just like, hey, it's just me, it's just us. Like, you were just like, calm down, essentially. He's like, why don't we lighten up a bit? And he goes, yeah, why don't we lighten up a bit? And he takes her bags and throws them into the lake, which is amazing.
Yep. All that.
And which, by the way, I will
camera
say,
equipment.
thematically speaking, this is another shedding of machines. We have horses being chased by motorcycles, and we're getting further and further away from civilization. We leave the camper behind. They're on foot. They're in the mountains. He's throwing away her machines. They're getting back to nature. Wow. They're walking and talking. And then the next scene, what are they talking about? Sonny's love for nature. He's talking about how everything was under the ocean once. Everything you see here was underwater.
But she does. I will say this. I love the movie, and I don't often see things that stand out. But I think, especially with people who are at odds with who they are, have like a specific sort of move that they do, and throughout the entire movie, it's very obvious. She rests her head in her hands.
Oh yeah.
It's the same movement over and over. And so when she's sort of feeling vulnerable, or is like,
Is it only this movie she does it in?
I think so.
Interesting.
She'll go, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But she does the same thing over and over, like it's a crutch. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little bit like masking when you're neurodivergent.
Okay, I don't know how that's the same.
I know, whatever, but it is.
But it's an interesting.
I have to go to the bathroom.
What?
I'm
Again?
not going. I'm going to wait.
And then and he's starting to respect her. She's starting to respect him. And he actually offers to let her ride Rising Star, which before he was like,
she had been he was like,
He's
hell
like,
no.
A few scenes earlier, nope.
Nope.
And then she says, oh, do I pet him? He goes, do what you want. He ain't no dog.
Oh,
That's a great line.
is that a bad word?
You've been saying so many bad words
I have
tonight.
not.
Oh my gosh. So
Really?
many. Constantly.
No, I haven't.
Nearly constantly.
Really?
Yes. So there's more walking, and as they're doing sort of as that Dave Grusin harmonica. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Bum, ba-da-da. Anyway, majestic harmonica music and other orchestral backup playing as they're walking the mountains, and we hear radio callers calling into radio shows in support of Sonny, saying, we believe in what he's doing. She's taking all these notes. He asks to see her notes, and she reads him some of these notes as she's been writing about the stories she's going to write.
Oh, so corny.
Or deliver. It's not corny. She said, it's actually, I think it's kind of beautiful. And at one point, the point of it is, she says at one point, I feel like I'm seeing this country for the first time. Because she's not in a plane
that's
looking
like the
down.
Song America
she's walking
by
through
Simon
it.
and Garfunkel.
Oh, that's
my favorite song.
That song makes me cry.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I tear up. You know when I tear up?
All the time? Apparently, you're like
no.
dead.
In that song, there's one song, part of that song, it makes me tear up. Not every time,
Wait,
but most of the time.
Is it Kathy? I think that I'm...
Yeah. Because I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Kathy, I'm lost, I said, though I know she was sleeping.
Yeah.
That's the saddest.
Aching and I
That's the
don't know
saddest moment where he knows she's asleep. It's the only time he can say it. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Anyway,
I played that song on repeat when I was driving the California coast.
Anyway, that is not in this movie. So anyway, we have her this. So she's reading this thing. They're falling in love. Amco execs are hearing that Ranch Breakfast is selling like crazy. And there are kids selling Sunny Steel T-shirts. So they're like, this isn't so bad. We're going to turn the tide on this one. Yep. Fonda falls at one point. He goes off to do something. And then she sees a local store and goes down to a local store to try to contact the boss.
Yeah.
She's trying to call her boss, but they can't have the phone. And then she's talking.
Wait. She's calling the boss to call off the camera crew,
that's the point.
Right?
She's trying. But there's no phone there.
She feels bad. She's like, I don't want him to meet us at Rimrock.
Yeah, she doesn't want the camera crew to be at Rimrock. She had previously told the boss to have a camera crew meet them at Rimrock. And now that she sees what he's doing and understands him, she doesn't want that anymore. So, but there's no phone at this place. And the girl there is like, well, I can call when I get home. And she's trying to give her a message. And then these two local yokels walk in. They're like, hey, ain't you on the news? And then she's like, uh-oh. And then she runs off without getting in touch with the producer. But you see that she's trying to make the effort to right the wrongs.
Yeah.
She meets back up with Sonny. They go to a cabin because there's some old friend who has at this cabin. And they're in this cabin, and he's recounting his old rodeo days. And he's like really like just kind of opening up in a way that he's never has before. And he looks at her and he's like, blah, 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 blah. Here I am running off at the mouth, which is not at all a Sonny thing to do is to talk. But he's feeling close to her. And then Fonda says, what are you going to do after? And I think he doesn't. I don't really think he says much. He says, "I don't know, take it a day at a time" or something like that. And then she says, "I told you can't let him go at Rimrock Canyon. Like I told the network, and there's going to be a camera crew there." And she feels terrible about it. And then she's honest with him, and he's like, "Well, I guess we'll see what's going to happen." Essentially, and he says, "But hey, whatever happens tomorrow, do me a favor, don't take notes." And she's like, "Oh, Sonny."
What if this was a recent film? It would have been a blowout and a fight and a whole thing and just this big drama.
Maybe not though, because there's a secret. There's a secret he has.
That's true.
And he knows he's in control.
True, but he still would have felt
realize.
betrayed, although he still did it because of that.
Yeah, she doesn't
He's
realize
smarter than he looks.
He's in control of this whole situation. So he basically is like, well, you did what you did, and I'm glad you told me, and we'll see what happens. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so the next day they walk into this gorgeous canyon, and he stops and looks around. She goes, when did we get there? And he goes, well, we're here. And she said, well, where the hell are they? And he says, probably in Rimrock Canyon. And that's when you realize. And you realize that he has been playing her this whole time. And then it cuts to Rimrock Canyon, which is this blizzard, snow covered everywhere, and all the Amco execs are there with this big sign that says "Welcome Sunny Steel and Rising Star." And one of the execs gets in the limo where the John Saxon is, and he's like, "I don't think he's coming." And John Saxon goes, "The thought has occurred to me." And that's the last that we see of them. Then we're back into this beautiful canyon where he's going to let Rising Star go.
Yep.
Sonny walks Rising Star a little away, and he gives Rising Star a pep talk, and he's like, basically saying like, hey, they might be wild because there's this pack of wild horses running off. Of course,
like Assateague in Maryland.
Yeah.
I've been there. They ate all my hot dogs. They did.
So he takes the horseshoes off of Rising Star, takes all the stuff off, and the last thing is the bit. And he's holding the bit, and he gives this pep talk to the horse, and he's like, "Don't forget, you've won races, and you're this thing, and show him who you are." And he takes the bit off, and he just charges off, and there's these like beautiful glory shots of this amazing horse.
Kind of looks like Linus.
Stunning. No, Linus, your overweight dog, just not like Rising Star.
He does.
But it's beautiful, and we see they get together
Muscles.
And you know what's interesting?
No, I don't.
Dad had an interesting thing. So after this, after the horse runs off, Fonda and Sonny are in a diner in some small town nearby.
Ham and cheese omelet.
And they're having, is that what he's having?
No, I just want one.
That's what I always have. And so they're having, breakfast, and they're sort of talking about random stuff. And at one point, I guess Redford wipes her face or her shirt with something, a napkin, and Dad goes,
I love that shirt.
Redford always does something nice for a woman in these movies.
He did say that.
And it's like, what? And he's like, in every movie Redford's in, he always does something.
Meanwhile, he's making sweet love to every woman in every movie.
He does.
I'm
he
dead.
just pointed out something. He's like, he always does some small act of kindness to each woman in a movie. And I was like, that's an interesting observation to make.
Wiping jelly off her face.
I mean, there was something like that he did. And, So anyway, he goes and puts her in the bus. Now, this is one of my favorite things in the movie. He goes, she's going to get on a bus and go back to her life and do this report. And then she's going off to Paris to cover something.
Yep.
And she's like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know, basically. I'm just going to get back and live a life, essentially. And what I love about this movie is that they've had this experience. Mm-hmm. They fell in love to some degree. But she gets on the bus.
Bye.
And they don't get together.
That's it.
And I love that.
Any other movie, the bus would pull away and
yes, and it would stop, or he would run,
she'd drop
or whatever.
The bag, he would run, and they're like, peace. They don't care.
So not only
they know they're just two different worlds apart. They can't.
Yeah. And not only that, she stops, or she goes on the bus, and it cuts to her doing her news report, and she's talking about Sonny. And she, the most she says is I want to say extend a personal thanks to Sonny for whatever, I can't remember. It's something. It's very formal, and it's not. There's a hint of something there, and as she says that, it ends, and it cuts to just this wide angle shot of Sonny Steele hitchhiking down a highway in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And these cars driving by, and he's just got his thumb out. And that's the last shot of the movie. The credits start rolling as the camera pulls away at a helicopter, and you just see him hitching this highway, and you're like, this is one of my favorite endings of any movie.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
Love this ending. Yes.
The Bodyguard.
I've never seen it.
You disgust me.
I've never seen The Bodyguard.
Have you seen Kevin Costner lately, by the way?
Yes.
Whoa. But Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston have a wonderful love affair. They do the same thing, but I'm saying it's like there's no world other than Barefoot in the Park when when Hallie Martin and Sonny Steele would be together for.
I think you mean other than Electric Horseman.
No. Other than there's no. All right, the name. I'm saying they are okay. Those actors in that film, Barefoot in the Park. Beautiful. In this film, for them to get together in the end, like some cheesy 90s film, would have been awful.
It's a fantastic ending.
You know what it would have ended like? The Graduate. When they're like, yeah!
That's maybe the best ending ever.
And they just stare at each other.
Greatest endings, The Graduate.
Shit.
I think Electric Horseman, even though no one's seen it.
And Eternal Sunshine on the Spotless Mind.
Oh, Eternal Sunshine. One of my all-time favorite movies.
The ending, because it's so real. And that's why a lot of students...
So great.
But the way they look at each other in the hallway. But maybe we will. And it's just like, oh God.
Oh, it's so good.
And the high school kids that I'm saying we watch it, like pieces of it, and they're like, oh, I want to watch. I'm like, I hate this. I'm like, until you're never gonna really, you won't get it until you get it.
Yeah.
Like when they say that, you're like,
it's so good. It's so beautiful.
Oh.
Also, I will say La La Land, which is much more recent.
I did not watch it.
It's a fantastic ending in that too.
I don't like singing or dancing very much.
Okay. I'm just saying the ending of that movie is
I heard, because it's not
fantastic.
what you'd expect. I heard that. I like that.
It's really great. It's really wonderful.
Singing or dancing.
That movie messed me up recently, but that's for other
You're
reasons.
becoming very.
No, not like I was crying. Like it messed me up, like emotionally for a little bit. But
That's what I
That has
mean.
to do with other reasons.
Oh.
So anyway,
What is that?
what? The light that's
Yeah,
been there
it's-
the entire time.
It's really bright though. Are we playing the game?
Yes, we are. 'Cause
I'm
we gotta
ready.
get you out of this. Let's see. I love that movie so much. I love that ending so much. I hadn't seen it in years. I'm glad we watched it again. I'm glad we watched it with Dad too. He seemed to really enjoy it. He was like so glad that we came over and everything. It was really nice. We should do that again. We
Yes.
gotta have him on this
True
to some
Lies.
degree too.
Sneakers.
Maybe Sneakers. Well, we'll do a segment where he's in it. Sneakers though, I don't know. This was long, but that might be a two-parter.
Sneakers is a two-parter. There's no film in the world, by the way, also starring Robert Redford.
So time for this game,
I'm
which
ready, I'm
is
ready.
our esoteric or random
Aziz.
quote game. We've done this all through our lives where we toss out quotes, random quotes, not like quotes you'd know, not like you're going to need a bigger boat, but like quotes, random quotes that only we kind of know, I guess, maybe a little bit. But that's not true because I'm sure if we know it, other people do too. But we usually toss them out when it comes up and is relevant to the apropos, I should say, of the conversation. Fancy. But we're gamifying it for this, and so we give each other random quotes, and we try to get it. I already threw my first one out unknowingly earlier, which was
Heard it.
You're ruining it. You're ruining it.
I didn't get it. I would get it in a normal place, but not
it's in a dank basement.
I can't.
It's one of your favorites, actually.
Is it the Burbs?
No,
No,
I think it's one of your favorites.
basement.
yeah.
I don't know. I really don't
You're
know.
ruining it. You're ruining it.
Is this it? Is
And
that?
here's the other thing. And here's someone else.
Please.
What the?
Butter Aziz.
What? Is that one of your things?
What else? What else? What else?
Can we go to the next one and then
No.
I'll think about it?
No.
I don't even know.
Oh,
what that-
okay, fine, sure. Go ahead. Next one.
All right, ready?
Your turn.
Men don't do that. I know no men who do that.
Oh, that's got to be Harry Met Sally, right? No. Dang it.
Nope.
Oh, dang it. That
Men
sounds
don't do
so.
that. I know no men who do that.
That sounds like Meg Ryan.
It sounds like you're right. You're right. I know you're right. But
It
it's
sounds
not.
like yeah. It's not.
Men don't do that. I know no men who
Men
do
don't
that.
do that. I don't know men who do that. That's not the Burbs, is it? It's not. Son of a.
You'll never get. I don't even think you've seen this movie that much.
Oh well, that's not fair.
I don't know. I don't know your life.
Give me something else. Give me some.
What the fuck?
Give me some background.
They're in a limousine.
Oh, well, Big.
No.
This sounds like all these people. Liz Perkins. Men don't do that. I don't know men who do that. Maybe I don't know this movie.
Men don't do
That
that. I
sounds
know
very.
men.
That sounds very
Okay.
familiar though.
It gives West Wing vibes.
Dave? No, American President?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen American President that much.
What?
No, I've only seen it once.
Can I have another one then? Since you
No.
didn't know. Come on, Josh.
Do you know mine yet? No. See, American President, I don't know very well.
Because you're an idiot.
Okay,
I
wow.
don't do that.
It's
I don't know.
aggressive.
Can I do one more, please? Come on.
Do you know mine yet?
No, I'll never know.
You'll never know.
It's sad. Our whole thing is built on the fact that we can deliver these quotes, but it's not. It's different. The game is harder.
We say this every time.
Shut up.
Yes, the
Shut up.
game
Shut
is
up.
harder.
Give me another. Do you have a second one?
I have 3 because
Then
I'm
go
prepared.
ahead. I
I'm
have
going to
8.
give you an easy one. Ready?
You always say.
It's so easy. I'm giving you an easy one because the other one's really easy and you're not getting it, but I'm giving you a super easy one you can get. Ready? We fear change.
Wayne's World.
Yep. See? I told you. Easy.
We fear change.
We fear change. That's maybe my favorite quote in that whole movie.
It's like. What's that thing?
We fear change.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad. You know?
My friend,
Ready?
my good friend Kurt Fuller in that movie. Oh my gosh. He's played
love between
he's
two
played
men.
he's played my father-in-law type character in 2 different TV series.
Really?
Kurt
Oh,
Fuller?
yeah.
Yeah, in Big Day and in Better With You. I love that guy.
a good
He's one of my favorite people, and I haven't talked to him.
Some
He's
of the
living in London now, apparently.
Whatever. The shows you've been in are better than most shows I've seen, and it makes me super angry.
Okay.
I love Committed.
What's your next one?
I like your hat. They make men's clothes. Where you got that?
Oh, shoot. This one I know, right?
I don't know.
You're killing me here with this.
I like that hat. They make men's clothes. Where you got that? That was a Beavis and Butthead laugh.
Give me something else. No. Give me like some context.
No, I can't.
Or
They're
another
in a
line.
high school. They're in a high school. They're walking down the hallway and they bump into each other. And the guy says some shit to him and he goes, I like that hat. They make men's clothes. Where you got
In a
that?
high school?
Yep. Yeah, you don't know it.
Why are you giving me things I don't know?
I thought you would know it. You're a child of the 80s. You should. It's a shameful thing if you don't know.
Give me another quote. Give me a more famous, better known quote from the movie.
Let's dance.
Oh my gosh. Footloose?
Yeah.
That's right. They're in a cafeteria.
No. They're walking out of the hallway in the locker and they
Oh,
bump
no,
into-
you're right, because it's Chris.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure about the hat part. But he's like, I like that hat. Do you make men's clothes where you got that? And he's like, about to kick his ass. And he's like,
I don't think it's a hat.
shut up.
I don't think it's a hat.
Whatever.
Or maybe it is. Maybe because he's got a straw hat.
I don't know.
Oh, I've seen that one for sure. I knew that
If you
one.
haven't seen Footloose, then
Of
you
course
and
I've seen Footloose. I saw it fairly recently, and I'm embarrassed I didn't know. That's why it sounds so familiar. Darn it. When I say give me a more famous, like Let's Dance, it's pretty obvious.
I know.
I'm going to give you one more.
I'm
going to find one.
I got a good one, too. I got another one.
I'm so mad that you used my True Lies one the other night
Which
randomly.
one? Patarasis.
No. God, I love that guy so much.
One,
I think we did
moron.
this. I think we did this in another episode already. Like, we're already.
Yeah, but I
It's
say
just
it
so
on.
great.
But I say it on the regular.
I say it all the time too.
The other day, someone was like, "Oh, I want to use these buzzers." I'm like, "Why? They don't work."
Let's see if you get this one.
All right.
Patarasis.
Sorry, I did it again.
Let's see if you get this one. It's just so big.
Buffalo 66.
You knew it immediately. Patarasis. Patarasis.
It's just so big.
Oh, it's
Love that movie. That
movie.
movie.
It's
oh.
so. It's
And the ending. The ending of that movie
he's
is
so
the
problematic.
most unexpected, and it's so. That's the only movie you can say where it's just so depressing and awful. In the end, you're like, "Huh, well, that gives hope." Like it's so good.
By the way, I love. He did the soundtrack for that too, and it is a
When I was a boy,
it is such a good soundtrack. His music is excellent in that movie. I don't know his other stuff so well,
it's so good.
and I don't know what happened to him.
Fools rushing.
Although I have a feeling he's fairly difficult. I don't know.
You mean like absolutely psychotic? That movie is brilliant.
It is so good.
Point a knife at your father.
Don't point that knife at me! Don't point your knife at
We
me!
love you, honey.
you, honey.
It's just- yeah. Oh God, these are all so good.
All right, your last one.
Did you tell him he was black too? Did you like the cadence? It was an.
I know this one, and
It was an inspirational moment.
It was an inspirational moment.
Yeah, he was trying to get pepped up. He was being pepped up by someone, and he said, "Did you tell him he was black too?" My leg hurts. Should we call our podcast "My Leg Hurts"?
Maybe.
My sister's leg hurts.
What?
Can I do another one? in a second?
No, give me the context, please. Gosh, man, I'm really striking out tonight. This is bad.
All right. It's a guy that gets back in the swing of things, and he's having a hard time, and his buddy's trying to pep him up.
Is this a movie that we watched a lot when I was younger and I haven't seen in many, many years?
Probably.
Is this Digstown?
It is Diggstown.
Patarezis.
Diggstown. That's you should watch that.
I want to
movie.
see it. I remember
Jelly was black
loving
too.
that movie.
Oh my
I
god,
remember
that
loving
movie
that
is
movie.
so good.
I get major points for that one.
That's good.
But
That is really good.
Do you have no mind?
Damn, you are nope.
You're ruining it. You're ruining it.
No.
Someone's singing. And the guy's yelling at him.
I'm really bad at this game, and I feel uncomfortable about it.
Let me give you a more famous one.
Is there a better cadence you can do? Could you dress
That
it up?
is the exact cadence.
Ruining it.
No, you're ruining it. You're ruining it. Food, please.
That sounds like the Goonies, but it's not.
Goonies.
That's what I thought it was.
You didn't say that.
Because you're like, ooh. Oh, the opera thing.
Yes, he's
Oh
singing
my
opera. You go,
You're
God.
ruining it. You're ruining it.
Joey Pants?
Food, please.
Oh my God.
No, he's down. Not Joey Pants.
Wow.
No, it's Robert Davi. He's down in the thing, and he's
Oh yeah, but I
and
only
he's singing opera.
I only
He's singing opera, and Sloth is like food. He's like, you're ruining it. He's throwing like lettuce at him
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, I would never have got that without
Oh
Sloth.
my, that was the Goonies. Oh my God.
To get the gems in his mouth.
Oh my.
Let me tell you.
Oh my.
Can I do another one? It's my
No.
third one.
No.
I only did two.
No.
I crossed
You
out
did American
two.
President.
Yeah, but
You did the high school one. Footloose. And
Josh, come on!
no. You've been talking
Patarezis.
forever. You wouldn't shut up about all the things. And I didn't even bring up, well, I did bring it up, but I didn't even
Don't.
get into all that situation.
Don't
Brothers and sisters.
Don't.
Just remember, before you text some stuff.
stop it!
Oh, and I want to be clear. This was text. These were words. I want to be very clear. Just
hate you so
words. But just make sure, brothers and sisters out there, PSA, make sure you're texting the right person before you text some stuff.
I'm telling Mom. Actually, I'm not
No.
telling Mom. I am not
No.
telling Mom.